There you go.
Oh, Marisa, sorry. I went to, I mean, original estimate.
Oh, thank you for fixing that.
I will.
Or acknowledging. to fix
I
that.
will fix it.
Appreciate it.
The HR knows that she hasn't received estimates. Marissa upstairs.
He does.
Before we get started, I have a question. Who's putting the city promotional clothing in?
Purchasing.
Purchase.
Thank you.
Why, do you have a?
Because I'm writing one now. It would have been nice if we coordinated. You know, all kinds of recycled stuff and all that. If I had known, we could have included it all in one.
What recycled stuff? What do you mean?
Like recycling swag, we give out stuff in the recycling program, they'll get reimbursed for and all. Tote bags, things like that, but they're,
Well, take a look at it. It might be covered. Because we made it as generic. We asked them to submit a list of like everything.
wouldn't it have been nice if we were asked?
Get started.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cut.
I feel left
sorry.
out.
I'm sorry.
We're only the third largest department in the city.
It's okay. Councilwoman Fredericks is on her way. Okay, so we're good to go. Yes. All right, good afternoon and happy election day, everybody. We have not already gone out to vote. Go exercise your rights. Today's the big day. It is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. The time is 1:33 p.m. And I would like to jump right into our Board of Estimate and Apportionment meeting. My name is Dorothy Clear, Chief City Auditor. We also have the Janelle analyst from our office. Gary Sean for our City Treasurer. We have Joel Stetson sitting in for our Budget Director, Vivian Grande. We have Council President Ellis. And I have received word that Councilwoman Frederick will be joining us soon. We'll jump right in to the budget transfers and the bulk of the agenda are budget transfers with one legal settlement. Okay. Yeah. All right, so we're going to kick things off with a request from Cultural Affairs. They are seeking to transfer $13,000 total from two accounts. The first is only allowed at 5 in the amount of $12,000 and $1,000 from Tulip Festival. These funds will be transferred to two separate fund accounts. The first is marketing promotions in the amount of $12,000 and overtime in the amount of $1,000 to increase funds for marketing and overtime for the year. The next request also from Cultural Affairs, seeking to transfer $10,000 from Tulip Festival, the Tulip Festival account. Those funds would in turn be transferred to the winter activities account to cover expenses associated with the 2024 tree lighting event. And I've asked Elaine just to talk a little bit about what those funds would be used for.
Sure. We haven't had an increase in that budget for many years and we have some cost savings. So we figured we would blow out the event in essence and get additional food for constituents and decorations for the event.
Any questions? Okay, we're going to move on and wishing a successful event. Tis the season, right? All right, next we have requests from Recreation. The first in the amount of $13,000. You're looking to transfer that from contracted services / field operations to supplies and materials / field operations to cover outstanding invoices. Next, they are seeking to transfer $3,000 from supplies and materials / recreation administration to other equipment / field operations to cover outstanding invoices. The next request, Recreation is seeking to transfer $5,000 from supplies and materials / summer program to other equipment / summer programs to cover the purchase of equipment for the Quail Street boxing. The next item from Recreation, they are seeking to transfer $5,000 from summer help summer youth employment program to other equipment / field operations to cover equipment expenses. Any questions related to recreation? No? All right. Moving on to the water department, they are seeking to transfer $11,000 from contracted services / pumping stations to 3 separate accounts. The first in the amount of $1,000, training, conferences, and purification, that's the name of the account. The second account is supplies and materials / pumping stations in the amount of $5,000, and the last account, supplies and materials, in the amount of $5,000. This is to cover invoices for the remainder of the year. There are no questions. I'm going to move on to the fire department. They are seeking to transfer $9,000 from their other equipment line into 2 separate accounts. The training fund in the amount of $4,500 and their contracted services account in the amount of $4,500 to cover outstanding invoices. The next item for fire, they are seeking to transfer $12,000 from 2 separate accounts into 3 accounts. The first is office equipment in the amount of $4,000, vehicles in the amount of $8,000, and those funds are going into supplies and materials for a total of $4,000 in that account. $4,000 then going into contracted services, and then the remaining $4,000 going into the training fund. This is to cover tuition, payroll reporting, and contracted services expenses. Any questions? Moving on to DGS. And I've asked Frank to share a little bit about the rationale, but I will walk through the items here. The first, these are all funds being moved from gasoline related accounts. So the first is a transfer request from the gasoline / fleet maintenance account in the amount of $54,000. Those funds would then go to 4 separate accounts. The first is contracted services / central maintenance in the amount of $30,000. The second, contracted services / administration in the amount of $20,000. The third, contracted services / Capitol Hill at Albany in the amount of $2,000. And lastly, contracted services / central maintenance in the amount of $20,000 to cover outstanding service invoices, contracted services invoices. The next one, DGF seeking to transfer $10,000 from the gasoline / fleet maintenance account to the supplies and materials / central maintenance account to cover outstanding supplies and material invoices. The next request, DGF seeking to transfer $80,000 from gasoline / fleet maintenance to contracted services to cover outstanding contracted services invoices. And I'll stop there and turn it over to you, Frank.
Okay, so the question on why we're transferring or where we're transferring is what you would like me to explain?
So just to tee it up, I spoke to both Darius and Frank. This is a lot of money that was earmarked and budgeted for gasoline.
Yep,
That
so
we
from the where,
no
yeah.
longer need.
So the gasoline, so we, a certain amount is allocated every year, budgeted for gasoline, but that obviously that number fluctuates, right? So you know what, the cost of gasoline every week changes, right? The state contract, the price of the delivery of the gasoline changes every week. It's based on the market. So we're doing a little better right now than we have. The other thing is that some of our consumption's down just a tad. Could that be because we're buying more hybrid vehicles? Is it because we're using less gas for some of our equipment? I can't say that off, but there is a little bit of surplus there and money was needed in other accounts. So we took it from there. Definitely in consultation with the budget director. So we're on, and so, we know it's going to be okay. Like we know we're not going to need it. So we're good. But it was needed in these other accounts. There's a lot, there's, there's 2 contracted services accounts for 1620, which is central maintenance, right? So it's all the city buildings, it's everything that gets done by our central maintenance group. So you've got a new building, Delaware, or all these buildings. So those costs have gone up, the amount of contractor hours have gone up for things. So, it's covering for really two departments, it's doing for engineering and for DGS, and that's what a lot of that is.
Our purchase on state contract.
Yes, it is. But it changes every week, so, there's a number, and right now gas is low, so today, right? It all had to get low for today, right? Well, that may not be the case next week or the week after, but we've done it, calculated, the budget, director and myself sat down and went over it, and what we've got encumbered in blankets already, what's still left, we'll go to the end of the year.
Any other questions? Thank you. Just
Thank
wanted to
you
make
for
sure.
that. I understand the view on that.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
Sure.
gas
not a problem.
budgeted for and not using.
Yeah, it's, again, you don't know, think about where we were a month ago,
Mhm.
okay, think about where we were a month ago. And then think about where we'll be in a month, right, and then it changes every day, and that's part of the problem with fuel, it could be, like I said, one day, it could be $1 higher the next day, it's how it goes.
Frank, I don't have the budget in front of me,
Yeah.
but when we talk about fiscal year 25, are we keeping gas the same as originally budgeted?
I don't know, I think it might have went down just a tad, all right, but again, this is something right now, it's a snapshot now. This cannot be in next year, like, for example, and I'll throw recycling out there. Recycling costs for us to pay for our recycling that goes to the material recovery facility. It's based on, an OEM, a market, right, an official board's market for paper. That number for paper, right, and the better paper does, the less we pay, okay? In 1 month, the paper market went up by $50 per ton. Okay, so because it went up, it went down, excuse me, because that went down, we went up. So last month we were paying 30 something and change, this month we'll be paying $60 and change. In 1 month, all based on the market. I can't explain it, right? And it's the same thing with fuel. So it is what it is. So it's really difficult to, you do your best guess and you look at what you read what you can read, you look at what you look at and you see the best ways. And then that way, so that's kind of where we're at. We're lucky to have that surplus to be able to take it, so it didn't have to come from someplace else. Because this was work that's being done all over the city, that everybody's benefiting for, that we gotta pay those bills, so it's lucky we're able to take it.
And then regarding what we did budget, it was looking at the market at the time.
Yes,
the price,
yes,
and look
yes,
at
Yes,
consumption.
yes, yes. Yeah.
Other questions? All right, then we have one additional item from DGS. DGS seeking to transfer $122,000 from contracted services / park maintenance to contracted services, maintenance of streets to cover sidewalk
Shaping.
shading.
And that is only because I don't want to hear from budget or audit to say it was taken out of the wrong account. So this is why we're moving into the proper account. It's coming from one account to the other. My understanding was that contracted services wouldn't, E&A wasn't needed to, because it's going from 174.40 to another 74.40. But
I think the sheer dollar amount, I
it's,
just wanted.
that's the reason. Okay, got it. So that's why it's coming from one set in the same account too.
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea when we rolled these accounts up many years ago. That was the idea. But again, it's as long as, but that's what it is. We're doing a new sidewalk shading project that is been very beneficial. In the past, you would have to replace, we had nothing to, you'd have to replace the panel. There was no way to shade it. This is a new technology, a company, and they're saving us, it costs us about $225 roughly around there to replace the panel. And then again, costs of concrete where it is at, but that's where we would say it is now. And we're doing this for about $102 a panel, right, to shave it down, so it's saving us money in the long run, and it's going quicker, so you don't have to wait to go and replace panels. So this is a great technology, and it's gonna change things, I think, for the future. Constituents are gonna get their tripping hazards fixed quicker because of this technology. Which is good. Yes, she's happy, yes. So, this is a good program, and that's what that money's for.
Okay, and this is moving the funds into the appropriate GL. account.
That's it, yeah. Because it was in the parks account, and
Now it's.
now it's a maintenance of streets. It's
Yeah.
all contracted services. It's all, I just want to make sure it's in the right, so later on, when we go to pay the bill, it's not
No
told,
problem.
oh, it's in the wrong account.
Yeah.
Just trying to be responsible.
Well, thank you. The next request is from APD, seeking to transfer $1,325 from supplies and materials / community response to other equipment / community response to cover payment of outstanding invoices. This is another, request in which we're moving funds into the appropriate GL account. The next item from APD is seeking to transfer $1,200 from other equipment / administrative services bureau to furniture and fixtures administration services bureau to cover furniture expenses. The next request from APD is seeking to transfer $23,629 from Armor Vest / admin services bureau to contracted services computer and tech. Let me back up because it's a page cut off. So that total amount being transferred is $139,629. The first account being, that monies would be pulled from is the Armor Vest account, which I referenced with that total of $23,629. The remaining funds will be coming from uniforms / admin services bureau in the amount of $116,000. So again, that total being shifted to 4 separate accounts. The first is contracted services / computer and tech in the amount of $30,000. Contracted services / building maintenance in the amount of $88,000. Office equipment and computer and tech in the amount of $15,000. And then lastly, supplies and materials / building maintenance in the amount of $6,629. The purpose of this is to cover outstanding invoices. APD is seeking to transfer $89,700 from 3 separate accounts into one. That first account is police expense / criminal investigation in the amount of $48,000. Police expense / community response in the amount of $36,000. And police expense / forensic investigations in the amount of $5,700. Funds will be going into contracted services / building maintenance. Again, to cover outstanding invoices. This is associated with mold removal. Any questions regarding APD's request? No, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do you know if the first request, contracted services, building maintenance, same account, is that also 80,000? Is that also related to the mold removal incident?
The first request from APD.
Because we have 2 instances of 88,000 and 89,000 going to building maintenance. Just curious, that's like the same incident.
I can get clarity. Eugene,
Reach out to APD for your answer.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's ongoing for them.
what's that?
I think the mold removal is an ongoing thing.
Okay, so we'll get the answer to that. We'll wrap up with the budget transfer request and then the legal settlement. The first budget request, they're seeking to transfer $100,000. 75,000 from salary / traffic engineering and 25,000 from roadway taping / traffic engineering. These funds will be rolled into contracted services / traffic engineering to add funds to cover storm drain cleaning at Tivoli Park. The next request, budget is seeking to transfer $10,000 from utility / DPS administration to office equipment / traffic engineering to cover payment of outstanding invoices. Again, this is moving funds into the appropriate GL account. And then lastly, budget is seeking to transfer $60,000 from contracted services in the amount of $35,000 in contracted services / assessment and taxation in the amount of $25,000, so totaling $60,000 going into contracted services / admin services. This is to cover new and expanded services initiated So some of those examples of services include cobblestone contract management software, grant writing services, and Troy Banks fees. I see a typo here, Eugene, it's Troy and Banks fees. So we recently, our office did a forensic audit of our utilities. We consulted with Troy and Banks, and the savings that they found via those utilities, conducting that utilities audit, those funds, savings, etc. Troy and Bank will receive 20% of the total amount that we are set to either save or receive in reimbursement from some of the vendors that we basically pay for utility services. We just wanted to make sure you all have some examples of these new contracted services. Any questions pertaining to this item?
What was the amount of savings identified? Part of the utility audit?
What is our total? And I can get you the, we sent the report to the common council, the full report, but I don't have the top of my head.
And it's a contingency cost, but so they're getting 20% of any future savings or any savings at the point in time.
During the audit period. But we had the report sent to the common council, so we can just.
Okay, cool.
One question, Howard, how are you gonna overlay stripping? Do we have enough materials? And they can,
Yes,
there's no more supply chain issues anymore?
no,
Okay.
we actually got a new contractor this year who's been, bought a new $1 million piece of equipment, and we got ahead of everything so that we were actually well ahead of issues and not chasing but racing, and speed humps are all done in 3 weeks this year, and all but I think 3 need to be striped and signed, and they should be done this week.
Okay, last item, legal settlements. And we have Marisa here. So this is an item in which we are settling in the amount of $75,000 to Mowick for this song.
Yes.
For alleged damages. Would you, any additional details about the alleged damages?
This was a civil rights allegation in federal court. The allegation involved, the police department. And this was a settlement agreed to by, he had representation, and we agreed to this amount after he had some minor injury during a police interaction.
Questions? So this concludes today's agenda. We're gonna make revisions and get the final agenda sent out to everyone. May I request a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from our city treasurer, Darren Sharp, and a second from Council President Ellis. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And may I have a motion to conclude our meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion on the floor from Darren Sharp, city treasurer, second from our Council President Corey Ellis. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. This concludes today's board of estimate enforcement. Thank you. Turning on the time, lovely calling.
I saw that, I wrote that, we put the mom.
So next year, the plan will be to the sign rate. New fence for the shrubs, on all the sides.
Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the Board of Contract Live meeting. Today, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. Present, we have Joel Stetson, Budget Department, Darius Shumpar, Treasurer, Marisa, Corporate Counsel, Howard Goble, City Engineering, Frank Zioli, Department of General Services. The following was offered, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bids for the following: purchase of city promotional and clothing merchandise and associated embroidery services. Bids to be received, said proposals to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 at 12 p.m. and that each bidder be required to present a bid, a deposit equal in the amount of 5% of the total bid in cash or certified check. Mr. Zeoli offered the following, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bids for the following: waste collection, vehicle parts, preventative maintenance and repair, bids to be received. Said proposal to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, December 3rd at 1:30 P.M. and that the bid deposit is not required. Mr. Zeoli offered the following, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bids for the following: international truck parts, preventive maintenance and repair, bids to be received. Said proposal to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, 1:30 P.M. The bid deposit is not required. Mr. Zeoli offered the following, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for the bids for the following: Elgin
Elgin,
OEM street sweeper preventative maintenance, repairs and parts. Bids to be received. Said proposal to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 1:30 P.M. Bid deposit is not required. Mr. Zeoli offered the following, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bids for the following: Allison medium and heavy duty transmission parts, preventative maintenance and repair, bids to be received. Said proposal to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 1:30 P.M. Bid deposit is not required. Mr. Zeoli offered the following, resolved that the secretary be authorized and directed to advertise for bids for the following: Ravo equipment, preventative maintenance and repair, bids to be received. Said proposals to be received by the board at a regular meeting to be held Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024 at 1:30 P.M. Bid deposit is not required. Opening for light vehicle parts and preventative maintenance and repairs. Requesting department is Auburn Police. First bid is Exit 5 Auto Group. For oil changes, 90. Additional port, $10 an hour. Normal shop rate, 150 an hour. 150 per hour, 170 for emergency shop rate, $175 per hour. Replacement parts, discounted retail 20%, lump sum preventative maintenance, 5 per gasoline, $90, additional free oil fee, $10, lump sum preventative maintenance, $100, additional oil free per quart, $12.
If it's okay with the committee, we'll waive the reading of each line and we'll
Yes.
just submit it in the final bid,
Next bidder,
final agenda. document.
Albany Auto Service and Tire, LLC. We waive the reading. Next opening, Destination Nissan. We will waive the reading. Next project, elevator maintenance and repair for various city-owned buildings. TK Elevator. Base bid, $292,571.44. We we will look for the bid bond. And that's all it was.
We did receive a bid electronically from Barrier Free Elevator Sales and Service, but it has not come.
Hard
as a
copy,
hard
yeah.
copy. It was only electronic.
No.
So we did not include that into the signature.
That concludes the reading of our agenda. May I have a motion to accept our agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Motion
Aye.
to accept, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, David.
All those